Hi everyone, this is A.S.D.P, UFOologist Paul Welburn from North Yorkshire in the UK, and you're watching the Alien Strand podcast with your amazing host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, the official website.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. So it's going to be a pretty interesting one. We've been having these shows on video. We've been having a couple of glitches here and there, but you know what? We're trying to get it right just for you. All right. So we're going to be making some changes here pretty soon. We'll be getting some better stuff going. But for the meantime, I want you guys to just welcome to the show today. You can catch us on 26, 27 platforms of audio. You can catch us right now. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook, and we're live on X. All right. So that's the AKA Twitter. So check us out there. Today's show is going to be a pretty interesting one. We're going to be talking about, spirits, the supernatural, the good and the evil, right? Because those things do coexist together, right? And it's just one of those things that we try to get we try to wrap our minds around these things, right? And how they happen, how do they coexist with us at the times that we're living today. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that pretty deep. So I do have a guest that she's going to be coming on. She's having some technical difficulties on her end, though, but hopefully we can get her on. Her name's Laurie Bodie. So hopefully we can grab her on here pretty soon. Maybe she'll be able to swing in and get on with us and have a couple of chats. She's got a really nice story on what happened to her as well. So, like I said, if you want to follow us on Patreon, please follow us on Patreon there. It's, we have a free one and we have the $5 a month one. You can go there, go check it out. We're going to have some stuff behind the scenes. We will have extra content there. So you guys can check that out. They're extras. There's going to be podcasts that you cannot see anywhere else, right? It's not going to be here. It's not going to be anywhere. It's just going to be on Patreon itself. So go check that out as well. We're just trying to push this information, disclosure, everything we can to you guys, because I know you guys are very interested in the things that we have to say. So tonight's podcast, of course, is going to be Spirit World, good versus evil. I'm glad that you guys are jumping in on board. If you want to comment on anything, I'll put your comments there on the bottom of the screen. If you guys got any questions, feel free to ask some questions on anything that's happening. So, we might end up getting Mr. Cherry Lynch to kind of bring in a a couple of his thoughts as well. He's there in the background watching tonight, standing by. Thank you, Terry, for that. And we're always trying to stay up on board of what's going on with everything today. So if you haven't watched The Middle, go check that out. All right, please. It's on Amazon Prime. You can't beat $2.99, man. You can't beat that. That's our documentary that we put together on the story of Mr. Terry Lynch. So go check that out if you can. We actually have it on Hoopla, Rewarded, Tubi TV, Amazon Prime, Thrills TV, and now it's on TCL for free, right? So TCL is a Roku channel, so you can download that. You can check out our movie. It's free on these lower channels there on the bottom right. So I mean, it's a give and take. Commercials, no commercials. $2.99, no commercials. It is what it is, right? So we are putting The Middle 2 together. If you guys don't know, this is Alien Strand. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching us here. And thank you, Mr. Bradley Powers, all right, from Extraterrestrial Alien Contactees, Abductees, and Believers. So he was able to get us on board with their platform. They're on Facebook. If you have a chance, go check these guys out on Facebook group. It's got about 112,000 people on there watching all over the world. All right. They're out of the UK, I believe. I'm not sure, but I'll just check that out. Anyways, it's we're doing The Middle 2 where we're in pre-production, post-production. Actually, I'm kind of doing the editing, getting this movie going, just trying to get it going. So it's just one of those things. Movies are not easy to do. Right? They're not easy. So it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of editing, a lot of good things. But welcome to Alien Strand Disclosure Project. All right. So here with Alien Strand Disclosure Project, we do have a paranormal part of that as well. That we do have at least 3 or 4 people that are part of our paranormal team. And, they go out there and get actual reports, investigations, things like that. And they put it all together for me, and I'm able to put these reports up on our website. So there, go look at the ticker down below. See that ticker? Check that out. You'll be able to check out our our web pages. What more can you ask for? HTTP, ASDP-UFO.com. Check it out there, or go to alienstrand.com, our sister page. You can get a lot of information from those 2 pages. All right. Don't forget to hit up our Oregon Ufology and Research out there with Mr. Terry Lynch. He's got a nice group Facebook page there, and he's the sheriff of over 100 pages. So go check that out. He's a great guy, and he just makes sure that we don't have any trolls around in there, right? Because that's what it is. There's a lot of people out there that's going to doubt everything that's happening out there, especially in the unknown world. It's just hard to talk about some things sometimes, especially when we're talking about today, the supernatural part of the unknown, right? Because that's exactly what it is. It's the unknown. We're trying to, everybody tries to wrap their heads around what's going on out there in the world of the unknown. And the unknown is a part of the spiritual realm, right? That happens, around us every day, myself included, because I've had it and my whole family has experienced this. And I know probably you guys have as well. And if you haven't, man, must be you must be at a good spot, man, because we get hit with some activity all the time. Tonight we're going to see a couple of slides. We're going to see a couple of videos. There's 2 videos I'm going to throw out tonight, and it's just one of those things. We have to get this information out to all you guys. John Dickens said, "Hey brother, how you doing?" He's very great part of our ufology out there. He always sticks around with, and he's a very strong supporter of Alien Strand. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. We always try to get a lot of things out there on, like I said, spirit world, things that we just don't understand every day. Can we explain it? Can some people explain it? Am I a professional and supernatural? No, I'm not. I'm just like you. I'm actually a citizen ufologist, a citizen like you. And, I do a lot of reading, a lot of things like that to try to figure out exactly what we're seeing out there and we don't see, and things that happen to us when we're asleep, right? You get paralysis when you're asleep. Things like that happen to you in the middle of a dream sometimes. You have bad dreams. You're fighting off spirits. Man, does that happen to me a lot. Have you ever had one of those dreams where you're just kind of laying there in a dream or whatever, and something's just pushing itself against you like a magnet in your dream, and you're fighting it off as much as you can, kind of freaking you out. Well, I've been having a few of those lately. Maybe stress. Hell, I don't know, but it's a possibility. There are a lot of things that are unseen to the naked eye, right? So, paranormal world is not really is something that it's easy to jump into. You see these shows all the time on the TCL's channels, TLC, all the history channels. You see a lot of things like that going on today, right? As far as the paranormal world, they're trying to show you the different sides of everything of the paranormal world, and they try to talk to these spirits and demons, right, as well. And they try to talk to all these things, with these apps. I downloaded an app today. I think it's called Ghost Radar, Ghost UFO. I tried it today, and it started talking to me right away. Is it entertainment? I don't know. I know that I've had a really weird, experience with that Ghost Radar. Maybe when it first came out, we were out camping. I'm gonna tell this whole story. We were out camping one night out there in New Mexico and Navajo Lake, right? And me and my sister were kind of say, hey, check out this app. We're sitting in the middle of the night, drinking a couple beers, looking at the stars. And I said, check out this app called Ghost Radar. So we're sitting there and we're watching. I'm opening it up, going through it, and lo and behold, it starts, talking or giving out these messages. It's saying Washington. It starts saying Washington. It starts saying Franklin, and it starts saying, who are you, and things like that. And so we're kind of like freaking out. We're watching this, like, we're thinking to ourselves, is this real or is it not? Right. So, we start watching, start saying they starts telling us we can see you. Right. So we start freaking out like, hey, man, you know what? Do we have too many beers? But lo and behold, long story long, middle of the night, so you know what, we're going to go in, we had an RV, went to sleep. I was probably about 1 hour in, and we heard this solid bang on the side of the trailer, man. I'm talking, it sounded like something hit it really hard. Woke us up. We got out. We freaked out. What the heck was that? So when we went out there and checked it out, nothing. And then we checked the trailer the next morning, nothing. There was no damage or anything like that. So we started thinking about it, like, what is this thing? What happened? Was it this? Did we actually make something happen, right, with the Ghost Radar? Can you manifest these things, spirits and things like this with, these apps, things like that? Make it happen, right? It's a possibility, that we saw something, John Dickinson says, question. He goes, the drives in the larger alien ships can manipulate time and space. Could the paranormal and byproduct of these ships sit stationary over some certain areas? I don't know, man. If I was in that ship, I could tell you pretty much, but it's just I'm trying to figure it out ourselves, as me and Terry kind of move along and try to figure out how propulsion and things work on these ships. Could it do that? I got a question for you. Okay, I'm going to ask you this real quick. Everybody out there's watching today, what is the similarities between a UFO and paranormal? What is the one similarity between a UFO and paranormal? What is it? See if anybody answers me. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Electronic magnetic fields, right? So that is the similarities between them both, because when you use your cell phone, let's say you have an app, it's first thing, what does it ask you? Let's check your EMF readings, right? On these apps for ghost radars and things like that. So we all have to use those, and those coincide together. So this is why I always say, do extraterrestrials or aliens, or ghosts, paranormal ghosts, are they together in the same realm? Is that a possibility? I think they are. I think they can see each other, or if they're kind of living in the same kind of dimension. Maybe. I don't know, right? So I can't say for sure. We ain't ever going to really know until we go, and then we'll be able to tell you, okay, here's just where we are. It's like, what is the differences, right? That we try to figure out, good versus evil entities. What do we know about these things, right? When they do these paranormal acts of aggression towards people, you ever notice on some of these videos or things like that that they actually, attack folks, they scratch them, right? Isn't that a similarity as well as with an extraterrestrials? People wake up sometimes and they have a scratch, right? Or things like that. How, how do we know what's the difference? Could it be something good? I don't know, something good's going to scratch you to make you think that it's something good. How do we know as human beings and things that we're trying to watch, and how do we're trying to dissect the difference between good versus evil as far as a spiritual entity, right? So, and I'm going to give you a definition real quick of the paranormal, right? Because we all know what paranormal is, but there's an actual everything's going to make sense here when I read it to you. So it says events are proportion phenomena described in culture and folk, other non-scientific bodies of knowledge whose existence with the context is as described as being beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding, right? Notable paranormal beliefs include and pertain to extrasensory perception, right? We know people like that, telepathy, spiritualism, ghost hunting, ufology. All these things are mixed inside of what it's telling us what paranormal is, right? So, and they always try to break it down into scientific hypothesis, right? So they tell you speculation, have said that the evidence of science ideas that are grounded in spherical observations and experimental data through the scientific method. So they're trying to, okay, can we see these things or not? Is it existence or not? Or is it just, poppycock or crap? Is that what it is? Can science do this? Can they figure this out? Can they see through anything that's we can't see with the naked eye? Of course, now we have everything in spectrum. Now we have heat sources. Now we have heat vision. We have things like that can see actual these entities that are there in realms that we can't see with the naked eye, right? And why is that? Well, why is it that we can't see it, but these spectrums can? It's on a digital scale. As us, as humans, we're always trying to figure these things out, one at a time. We're trying to figure out, okay, what are we experiencing here? What are we seeing today? We have evidence of existence already, right? So on the left, you have a picture of a ghost there sitting there. And it's just trying to, I think this was out in England. I can't remember the picture on the left. If you're looking at it, they took a picture of a gravestone, and there looks to be a woman, manifesting itself behind a stone there. So you can clearly see that it's a woman, right? And then on the right, there's a woman taking a picture of herself through the mirror, and this thing appeared behind her shoulder. So that's what you're looking at. That one has big eyes, a neck. Are we looking at a demon, or are we looking at an extraterrestrial? And what's the difference, right? So these are the things that we're trying to wrap our minds around and figure it out. So now that we're talking about this, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and bring in Mr. Terry Lynch, and that way we can maybe break a couple of these things down just for a minute. We're not professional on supernatural, but we are, and we do have the ability to break things down sometimes. And we're going to figure these things out, and we're going to talk about, the difference between paranormal or what could be or what could not be. Right? So let me go ahead and just bring him in on now. All right, here we go.
Greetings and salutations from the middle of Oregon.
Hey, all right, brother. Thank you for being on today's show. Your mic is blaring. I'm gonna bring your mic. I'm gonna bring your mic down just a little bit.
That'll work. Usually we have a little more time to test the microphone. So I'm giving you a couple extra words here so you can get things lined up. Right on.
Okay. Well, okay. What do you think about these these ghosts or demon kind of thoughts. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I luckily I have a friend over there in England. His name is Barry Nichols, and he tends to do things through what's called Einstein's third tangent. And what that is it's mirroring. He takes hello, John, how's it going? He takes London type, well, fog, English fog. He's not very far away from London, and he takes English fog, and what he does is he does a mirroring, and what it does is it's kind of giving you a perspective of different entities. Sometimes it looks like a demon's face. Sometimes it looks like there's one where it looked identical to Dr. Einstein himself, which the third tangent is his formula. However, what that tells me is that if you start using mirrors when you're doing photography, you're going to see things that you normally wouldn't catch as if you're just pointing the camera straight at something. You might catch something that's that you normally wouldn't see because it happens to capture light better than your eyes do, and it also might happen to capture the photography or photons and everything that's going on. So it's with photography as photons. When you're taking these pictures, you can use, like for instance, you've seen all these ancient wells that are all over the Middle East, and they're all over Europe, and you go way down inside of this well, right? Well, what these in particular locations were for was astronomy, and they could take like a looking glass. They had telescopic glasses that were used for like looking out across, and you could see ships and things like that from the boats. But you take that and you look down into the mirror image, and what's going on is it's capturing all the light, and now you can focus better on these individual things. You're not actually pointed up in the sky, you're looking down onto water, which is an ancient tool. Okay, so for instance, if you take a pair of binoculars and you take a mirror and you go outside, you have just made yourself a telescope, and that's basically what you're doing. You go out on a really dark night, you aim the mirror at the spot of the sky you want to look at, take your binoculars and you look down on that, and now you've really multiplied your binocular power, okay? Because everything that's inside of that mirror, all the light has been captured inside of the mirror. Mirrors, water, various different forms of refraction, so to speak, is a way to amplify the power of the equipment that you have. So you're looking at Orion,
right?
You can, go ahead.
Right. So John is saying, he's saying, could they be farming our souls? He goes, I believe they can interact with the paranormal as well. I guess he's talking about extraterrestrials. If that's a possibility. I mean, I didn't want to think that. You know what I'm saying? But how do we even know what's happening in those dimensions? You know what I'm saying? So and that's the hard part to kind of break away from.
Yeah, the thing about us, this goes back to our program with John Layer, where he was talking about how our body is just a vessel for the soul. We're just a container. Okay, I buy what he had to say there. We're a container. We're not here to be perfect things. We're just here to carry something that's on hold, on loan to us. We are going to move on to whatever the next thing is after we're gone. But I'll give you a good example of something that happened to me years ago when I was I was about 19 years old. I lived over in Lincoln City, Oregon. This scared the crap out of my ex-wife, by the way. I actually love the way I ended this little conversation. I was just having a bowl of cereal. Okay, I had a bowl of cereal. I had a spoon. I was sitting there eating a bowl of cereal. I set my bowl down, and the spoon kept bending like this every time I'd stop. And then I'd straighten the spoon back out and said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "Yeah." And it would go like this again. And then I'd straighten it back out, and it would go like this again. And she says, "What do you think it is?" I said, "I don't know, but I got to go to work." that's the way I had to leave it. Now the home that we were in, there was a couple that had both passed away in the home. So I don't know exactly what it was later. It was just before St. Patrick's Day. I'm Irish. I'm Cherokee. Okay, so it was just before St. Patrick's Day. Something led me. It was like I was guided out into this little workshop that was part of the house. And something led me out there, and for some reason, I took all of my tools out of this little shelf that was sitting inside of this little workshop, and I decided to go ahead and lift up the little workbench that he had in there. And would you believe I found this old man's stash of whiskey? I felt like I was guided to this, so I'd find it.
Oh.
Anyway, I found there were, by the time I got to them, it was already 30-year-old whiskey. Okay. They were all in little pint bottles, and there was like 17 of them. And then, believe it or not, I still have, he made a bunch of like brandies and things like that. It's 1961, 1960. I still have all this stuff sitting at the house. I haven't even opened some of it. I still have some of this stuff. Probably poisonous as hell to try and drink. But, you know, I hung on to it because my little girl was born in that home. So anyway, I felt like I was kind of guided towards this. And sometimes you get that feeling, right, you know, like you're being watched, for instance.
You know, and exactly. So, you know, speaking of being watched, let's go ahead. I'm going to show this video real quick, okay? And it's going to be it's a pretty cool video. It's a woman that bought this home, and I don't know if I think they moved in, and you know, she was taking pictures outside, and she decided to you know, see what's going on, and just things start happening. So just watch this video real quick. All right, here we go.
You guys saw that, right? Okay. The door was terrifying, but that's okay. Hello? Hello? Okay. Whew. I left the door open. It's probably just the wind. Don't be crazy. Is anybody here? Nothing. Yep. No. Whew. I probably just got overworked, and there's nothing here.
As the camera focuses on the exterior of the house, a fleeting glimpse of someone or something can be seen before it disappears from the window.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty intense. That's pretty intense right there. You know, it's just kind of hard to to watch sometimes, if you're kind of really paying attention to it. But these things happen to folks all the freaking time. They move into an older home, and something is there. A lot of times, uh, my wife's a realty. If somebody dies in the house, or there's any kind of paranormal activity happening in there, you have to disclose that information, right, to folks. A lot of times, a lot of people don't. And they end up going into these things and just trying to live a normal life, and these things start happening, right? And we always ask ourselves, paranormal and why, right? I mean, why do we see these entities out there? Like the woman floating around in the middle when there's a person in church and they could see a white entity behind them in a photo. These entities, they show themselves out there, and us as people, we just try to figure out, okay, why, why is this happening? Are they memories that are left behind? In other words, how you see there's a place over here called Goliad State Park, right? It's where they had a main battle, and they if you go out there late at night at 1 o'clock in the morning, close to the highway, they say you can hear the guys marching at night. You could see their spirits or their souls walk, and they're in their uniforms, their military uniforms. You can see these things. You can hear the horses. You can hear the carriage. And you're talking 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. People have actually seen this out here. And this is why I say, is this a memory that's transcended down? Because you're here and you left that here, or is it something you take with you after you go? Right. And you get to kind of relive it again, because if you see it, it's the whole thing taking place all over again. Or are we looking at some kind of, like a hit replay, like we did on our old VCRs or even on our phones? We rewind it. Is it something that we're watching that has happened in the past? What are your thoughts on this, Terry?
Well, I'm telling you that I firmly believe that the whole alien and paranormal world are 100% tied together. This is something that Annabelle Quiones has been working on very, very much, trying to tie these two worlds together. And I've seen enough stuff in my time to be able to say, I think that this is a very firmly tied together scenario where the UFOs, there's a possibility to me. This is within me. I don't know how many other people feel the same way, but I had a friend. He had passed, and it wasn't long after he passed was when I had my big sighting. And I actually feel like that he was the one that guided this whole thing together. And the familiarness of when this thing smiled at me and did the things that it did, it made me feel very familiar. I didn't feel like I was afraid of what was going on. I felt like I was supposed to be where I was at. I've had other instances in my life, like my stepbrother Kenny, when he passed away. His entire life, he always said, "A little bird told me." That was just one of those little catchphrases that he had to say. His whole life he said this. Well, at his funeral, big, beautiful ceremony that we had, he had a coffin overlooking the bay of San Diego there, and there were roses everywhere. And a little hummingbird came in, and it took just a little bit of nectar out of the center of the rose. And then it turned around and it went right in front of his mom, my stepmom, Dorothy. And as soon as that thing stopped in front of her, almost everybody lost their breath. They couldn't believe what just happened. It was like he was there, and then it was gone. Just as fast as it stopped. It came in, took something out of the rose's center on his coffin, stopped in front of his mom, and then away it went. And every one of us firmly believed it was him. Okay? It was just a hummingbird. It was just a hummingbird. It's just little bitty things little bitty things that go through our lives, and we'll see. Sorry about that. Little things happen throughout our lifetime that kind of verify that there is something later, that there's an after. And whether you're religious or you're not religious, it doesn't matter if you are or not. Whatever this is, it is. But the other part of this was that I was kind of wanting to get to, on my point, is the ancient, the paintings, the rock art, the things that you see from the natives. They're constantly talking about the spirit world. They're constantly talking about being alive. You see the arms up on something. Sorry, you see the arms up on one of the paintings. That means that individual's alive. You see the arms facing down. That means that individual's passed away. That they're talking about. Whatever was on that stone is on the other side.
Right.
Took place on the other side. Sometimes you'll see one with an arm up and an arm down, and that means that this is like a shaman or something like that. They are communicating with the living and the dead. And we have so much to learn still about what's going on. By the time we get this stuff figured out, we're gone. Okay? So I have a feeling that once we're gone, we're going to have every answer that we've ever wanted about this.
Well, it's...
yeah, but you have to get on the ship.
I mean, they have some...
You got to get on the ship. It's kind of hard to think about that, because you got family sitting there, and you can't just jump on that ship and come back. So if there's somebody that's trying to leave a message to you or something like that, you really got to look for it. It's going to be there. If they promised or they're trying to get you a message from the other side, it's going to be there, but you got to be able to recognize it for what it is.
Right, exactly. And I'm gonna read this real quick to you guys real quick. It's about the afterlife, right? So on the afterlife, it says the purpose of existence, is which is a essential part of the individual stream and consciousness or identity, continues to exist after death of their physical body. This is the surviving essential aspect varies between belief systems. It may be some partial element or the entire soul or spirit, right? So it says which carries with its one's personal identity, which I was talking about a little while ago, right? Belief in the afterlife is contrast to the belief of the oblivion of death, right? So these are some of the things that it asks, that is telling you what the afterlife is, what we think the afterlife is as well, right? Because it goes through us, and it goes through, of course, like you talked about religion. There's very many religions that think of the afterlife. The Vikings, Valhalla, they talk about that. They have different gods. Christians, everybody out there from different parts of the world, different parts of the countries, or different parts of history have India with reincarnation, right? So there's just a lot of different parts of the afterlife, of what it is and why they show themselves to you. Like Miss Cindy Phillips there, she says that we should always posting pictures on Alien Strand Disclosure Project of the orbs. She's constantly getting orbs inside her home, constantly. And when you were talking about the little droplets from Barry Nichols out there, how he was catching these things, I believe that's his name, that you could see the actual faces in this these spirits there are inside of this droplet, right? So and these are folks that are catching these things every day, and this is the things we're experiencing. The temperature changes, right? We have temperature changes also, right? That happens during a paranormal event, right? So a lot of people always say it gets cold. It gets a little bit colder in that area that you're at. If you look at paranormal researchers, they all have some kind of, thermal reading where they want to check what's the hot spot, and there's a cool spot there, because they're trying to find paranormal, and they're trying to, what happens when you communicate too much, right? to some folks, right? So we have people that are, there's people out there, there's groups, brother. I hate to say it, but there's, people, satanic groups, whatever kind of groups, they'll do these seances in the middle of the floors. They'll open up these portals, right? And they'll bring in something that you're not supposed to, right? And it manifests itself. We've seen it with our own eyes. We've experienced it. So I'm going to show you this video of this woman that moved into this apartment by herself with her children, right? 2 children. And she starts experiencing these freaking things, and you're actually see the paranormal activity. You can actually see the shadow figure. So let's check this out, okay?
Has been capturing widespread attention on the platform, recently becoming one of its most popular figures. This newfound popularity is primarily attributed to her intriguing recordings showcasing her supposedly haunted apartment, which we showcased in our previous videos.
Mina, please say mama. Mina, please. Say mama. Can you say the mama, please. Stop it. Mary, don't be scared. Stop it. Stop now. Hi. Nothing funny. Nothing just normal as a chicken. Ow! My God! Yes, someone just pushed me! Wait a minute. What the hell? I don't know, I'm so scared. I'm like, get out this shit! Oh my God! Get scared! No! They're not leaving me! Mom! Nothing here. Oh my God. Give me that phone. Oh my. Nothing here. Nothing. It's nothing. Oh my. What is this? Oh my God. No, what the hell is that walking down?
Yeah, that was, you can see a lot of things happening there. You know what I'm saying? So when we talked about opening portals, it's a possibility that's probably happened in her home. It's an apartment, maybe somebody died there or passed away there or something, or somebody opened something up. It's something that we just can't wrap our minds around at times.
Yeah, that's the type of thing where you're going to want to, probably after a few events like that, you're probably going to want somebody to come take a peek at what's going on. I'm absolutely glad that they've managed to film what they have going on, and you can clearly see that there's something going on. I've seen other footage of shadow people. Usually, with everybody having cameras on their porches now, and people having surveillance systems throughout their homes, the footage of these things are going to become more readily available for if, of course, people share it. This is just like disclosure. It's just like UFO disclosure. If you take and you have people finally start reporting these different things and doing the different things that's going on around your location, it's just as important as disclosure. It has so many different things, facets to this, to where you'll be able to take something like this right here, like what we're seeing is they're shadow people is what they're called, and they reach out and touch you, man. They let you know they're there. They actually let you know they are there. Have you ever seen a dog or a cat just kind of staring off into space, and all of a sudden they just start shaking for like no good reason? They're seeing things that you're not seeing because their eyes are different. They have a different spectrum of what they can see and can hear. We are so slow. The things that are in our skyline are moving so fast, and we're not used to seeing things move that fast. But by golly, a cat can, because they're keen to it. A dog can sense it. They can smell the different stuff that we can't smell or hear. We aren't programmed for this. We're something walking around, trying to carry a soul around, or our light. I'll call it our light. Some people want to call it soul, but our light. And we're trying to walk around. We're trying to give as much integrity to what this body's doing while it's here. Some people don't. Some people are just pure evil. But all of us are just walking around, and we're trying to be, show integrity with our everyday things. We're trying to, we go out, we look for a mate, we procreate, and we try to be as respectful and respectable as we can. Most of us, everybody. Again, I mean, you got Charles Manson, right. you got things like that going on. But on the other side of this coin, we're trying to be as good as we can with people around us. That way, when we go away, we have a good memory of who we were. And that's the bottom line. Now, when you move on to that next whatever, this could be it. This could be purgatory. This could be the thing that we're looking forward to. I remember an old joke that said, I had died and I dreamed I went to heaven. And we got close to this giant wall when I went to it right here. And we got closer to the wall, and they said, "Talk too loud here." I said, "Why is that?" And he says, "Well, on the other side of the wall is the Mormons, and they think they're the only ones here." So anyway, it's just an old religious joke, They think they're the only ones here. So we whatever afterlife is, or whatever's going on, we inevitably we will find it, we will see it, and whether it's us being a shadow figure that's walking around because we had something left behind, and I'm speculating when I say that. Maybe it's just that's it. I don't know. Maybe we're moving on and you're going to be a frog next, or a flower, or something like that from India. They say that, you reincarnate. Or you could be whatever the Jewish folks say, pink and black. Now, when you die, that's it. You don't know. We don't know. The problem is we all have to go through that journey. And once we do that journey, once we go through it, that doesn't mean to say do, but once we go through that journey, that's when we'll know. And all we have is these little bitty hints that we have, like what was going on with that young lady and her family. That seemed like a very good, reliable hint. That's about where
let's go ahead and I'm gonna take a. I'm gonna go ahead and let's take a quick break, real quick. Go to a commercial. We'll come back in about 60 seconds or 30 seconds. Right? on Facebook there. Follow us there. So just going to get into this real quick. I'm going to bring Terry back on just a second. So, when we talk about, spirits, and we've been talking about the dark entities with Terry, and he was explaining to how maybe he doesn't know. And we don't know if we're going to go into that realm or we're going to go into total darkness, right? And it's over. It's done. It's it. It's just one of those things. You don't know until it happens, right? So it's just one of those things. But what happens when a spirit or a black entity or a dark entity is here and it's actually manifesting itself? He just did to that young woman in her apartment with her children, and it comes in a form of a demonic form, right? So then we start getting into something different, because then it starts affecting you as a human being, and they call it spirit possession, right? So you go into some kind of state of to where this bad demonic thing, whatever it is, it starts taking over your body as a human being. And we've seen it in the movies, right? We saw it in the movie The Exorcist. It was based on a true story, right? Did it happen like that? Probably not as much. They've actually gone into details on her story. They saw her do some weird stuff, float, things like that. But that's the movies, man. They have to make it more entertaining for you. But these things do happen to people like you and I every day, and and it's hard to explain of how and why these things happen to people. It happens a lot to the younger children. It happens to everybody, man, not just the young people. To me, it just happens to everybody. And I'm going to read this to you of spirit possession. It says it's an unusual or altered state of consciousness and associated behaviors which purportedly caused by the control of a human body by spirits, ghosts, demons, or gods, right? So it's telling you that's what it is. The concept of spirit possession exists in many cultures, religions, including Buddhism, Christianity, Haitian voodoo, Dominican voodoo, Hinduism, Islam, Wicca, Southeast Asian, Africa, Native African traditions, depending on the culture context in which found possession may be considered voluntary or involuntary, and may be considered to be beneficial or detrimental effects on the host, right? So what do we see every day on people that have to go, through possession, right? And they have to, they have to experience these things, with possession. They get scratched, they start acting a different way, things start moving in the room. Have you ever seen anything like this, Terry? Like, not just the movies, but have you ever seen any kind of videos or live things on a possession or exorcism?
Well, what I have seen is people kind of taking over. At one point, I was real heavy into like neighborhood assemblies church. They have in Foursquare Church. It's all pretty much the same. But what happens is people are taken over and they start to speak in tongues. Okay. There's always somebody that seems to be somewhere within the group that can translate whatever it is that individual all of a sudden is saying in a foreign language. And this person is almost taken over, and it just flows. It just kind of flows through them. And they're speaking in a different foreign language that nobody in the room, but the one person that seems to also being fed the translation for everybody in the room. So as they're saying it, it's being translated. You see that with people the guys in the South there that dance with the rattlesnakes and all that stuff. But you also see that with the Native Americans, the Mayans, the Incans, and all of this, they all have very ritualistic things that have to do with the dead and the afterlife. The Egyptians specifically, they all have these ceremonies. They prepare you. The Vikings, they're further north. They all have these things to prepare you for this afterlife that you're supposed to be going on. It's supposed to be a big journey, and you have to have all of your, weird, your parts, your things. Like the Native Americans of this area, they just got the rights to, if you have a leg amputated, you're allowed to keep the leg now so you can be buried with it later. These are things that people, they, when they cross over, they want to have all their stuff that goes with them. I do have one other thing I want to catch on. I bet you already know what I'm going to say. I say it every show.
Go ahead.
An icon. Nikon, I want you to keep A.S.D.P in mind when you're wanting to test your equipment. I want Nikon to be a sponsor to us. I'm going to work on this every show until Nikon responds and tells me yes or no. But I'm going to keep advertising your equipment because I firmly believe your equipment is the best for what we're doing. Sony, you're also really good. You got a better processor than Nikon, but Nikon, you got further reach. Nikon, let's have a conversation about the equipment and how our ufologists should be decked out in your equipment. Okay, let's talk, Nikon. You can get a hold of me.
Yeah,
Mr. Don Webasma.
Right on.
Okay?
Well, and the reason I brought up possession, the reason I brought up possession was because, this has been carried on through thousands of years, right? And like you talked about the Egyptians, the afterlife, everybody believed in some kind of existence after, right? And this came from thousands and thousands of years ago, right? So if they believed this thousands and thousands of years ago, and it's still carry on to tradition today, with anybody, in any kind of religion. You don't even have to be religious to know that there's an afterlife. You don't have to be religious. You can just be you and just be, you can be spiritual, you know what I'm saying? And just kind of like, just be in on everything that's happening around you, right? And just to believe that there's an afterlife, because we're seeing these things, right? We're seeing all these spirits and things walking around, and things walking in our same, dimension, people see these shadow figures, and something is there, man. There's something afterwards, whether you're in purgatory, like you said, or stay in the middle, or you just can't cross over. You're not ready, and you stay in this dark state, you know what I'm saying? State of mind, what about the people that were, murdered or something that, their souls can't rest, and they're stuck here for a minute. And then we have spiritual people out there that believe that they can help them cross over. I've seen this all the time. I've seen it over and over. And I've seen them use all kinds of things to make the bad things that are happening in people's homes go away. Right. So, and like I've talked about, remember when I said it before, the natives had it right a long time ago, using sage, burning sage. Why did they burn sage? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, now, you remember a guy, I'm not sure if he's still on the show,
what are your thoughts?
John Edwards? You remember a guy named John Edwards who's a medium?
I think so.
The guy he would walk
Yes.
in, he'd have a whole room full of people he'd never met before, and he would walk up to individuals in the room, and he would start telling them about this relative that he sees behind them, and they're communicating through him, and he's telling them very important things that only that person would know, right? They didn't fill out any cards. You know how I know that they didn't fill out any cards? My father and my stepmother actually went to one of those shows, and turned out he was talking with his dad. Guy's name was Leroy Lynch. That's my grandfather. He was killed by a constable in Barnesville, Oklahoma. Guy tried to steal his wallet. Grandpa pulled his pistol out and shot him. Went back home. The constable came over to the house, and it turned into. Look at me. You can pretty much figure out what happened.
Gunfight.
That was a gunfight. Grandpa didn't make it through this, and it was all over a stolen wallet. However, when they went there was this whole thing where he told him exactly what his name was, told him where he was from, told him, just gave him some, he gave him some uplifting things to kind of help Dad go through the rest of his life, and answered a couple questions for Dad. And, it actually kind of shocked him. They actually walked in a skeptic to walk out not a skeptic. I do remember him telling me how surprised he was at that, and I think I remember watching about 5 years of this guy's episodes after that. So, and then the show kind of disappeared off of television.
Wow.
So you know what this
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
It reminds me of Ghost to Ghost thing that Art Bell used to do. That guy would mix it up. Here we are, both of us are ufologist guys, and here we are talking about ghosts tonight, which this is exactly what Mr. Art Bell used to do, man. He could mix this stuff up, and he'd find different topics. You can't always talk about UFOs every single time. It turns out this right here, it's a pretty interesting subject, and I'm really hoping that you start getting a lot of different guests that want to talk about this in particular subject. And anybody that's out there that has anything that they want to say to Mr. Donald Ledesma about spiritual things and ghosts and entities and the afterlife, get a hold of Donald Ledesma. We've got the A.S.D.P website. You can go in there. You can fill out the questionnaire, and you don't have to specifically say it's a UFO. You can tell us it's something else. Let us know exactly what type of disclosure you're wanting to disclose, and Mr. Donald Ledesma will get back to you, or one of our researchers. We have several researchers for different types of subjects. We'll get back with you, and maybe they'll recommend you to Mr. Ledesma, and you can be on the show yourself. So keep that in mind. I want to let you know that we are open to every kind of subject. And this right here tonight, this is a groundbreaker. It's definitely a groundbreaker. What do you think about that, Donald?
Yes, it is. Well, I think that it's a great show. I mean, and we're still having some difficulty for some reason, man. We're just glitching. So it works great at the beginning. It just starts glitching. I don't know if maybe Big Brother or somebody's kind of getting us shut down somehow, man. But John Dickinson says, he's I'm gonna say something. Yeah, it says Virgil. Let's see. Let's read what he has to say. Virgil, as though we have already lived out our lives, we all have the inner voice, right? What if we die, we get a chance to review our lives in the process and try to talk ourselves out of something bad, right? Hey, you never know. You never know, what's going to happen on that other side. We always just try to figure out exactly what's happening. And you know what? The truth and the whole reality is we'll never know. The only people that really know, I think there's a show. It's called Afterlife. Have you ever watched it on Lifetime or any of those kind of channels? Watch it. These are people that die. They die for an hour and they come back. They die for 30 minutes or 20 minutes and they come back. And they always say, you know what? I didn't want to come back. I don't want to come back to this. I enjoyed myself on the other side. You know what I mean? So, and we can break that down in a different show, but let's go ahead and shut it down today. Thank you, Cindy Grigsby and everything for putting all your posts there on Alien Strand Disclosure Project. I think she says this comment. She says, this home and land was bought and built by my dad's parents after my brother passed in an airplane crash in the late 70s. So I feel it's family. So these are the orbs and all the things that she's catching in her home. That's a possibility, Cindy. And I if they're not doing any harm, they're just kind of showing themselves that, you know what? Hey, that's a good thing. I think it is. Nothing bad about that. So we got anything to say, Terry, before we close out?
I sure do. Disclosure starts with your story and respect. And that's what A.S.D.P is all about. I look forward to hearing your story and you sharing your disclosure with us. And on that, it's back over to you, Donald.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for being on the show. maybe we'll get our guest on the next one. Maybe next week. Well, hopefully we can get her on the show. She was just having some problems, trying to log in. It might have been her computer or whatever was happening, but it's okay. It's okay. It's nothing bad. We'll get her on the show for sure. She's got a really interesting story. And thank you, Terry, for being on the show today. We're just trying to get as much information out to you guys as much as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed the show and what we talked about today, about the supernatural things. I do want to get more people on the supernatural side and, get them on the show. If you guys are interested in being on the show, like Terry said, contact me or him through A.S.D.P, or Instant Messenger. Do you guys have any videos or photos or anything like that? Are you ghost hunters and you go do this, all the time? You want to go and kind of show your work? Hey, give us a holler. I'll put you on the show. And Eileen Strand here. I really enjoyed the time here with everybody. And thank you for sticking around and hearing us talk a little bit about the other side of the unknown, right? Because that's exactly what it is. So again, my name is Donald Ledesma. Thank you for sticking around today. You guys have yourselves. Oh, don't forget, click us a like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, which is now X. All right, go check us out there. I appreciate you guys for watching. 26, 27 platforms. Catch our movie, The Middle. Watch it because part 2 is going to come out. It's going to blow you away, right? So it's going to be great. But anyway, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourself a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.